Hello everyone. Before we start, I would like to go through the book recommendation for today. Today we have 12 Rules for Life by Jordan B. Peterson. A superb book, many useful principles in everyday life. And a very important hint related to the things you say and how people understand what you say. Without further ado, let's see what the author of the book himself has to say about relationships and your own development.
I feel like I owe you a debt of gratitude, and I want to say thank you for the impact you've had on my life. And I'll point at the specific impact you've had on my life. And you asked me before we started recording why this podcast had been successful. One of the reasons is actually something I've gained from reading and listening to your work, and that's this real commitment to trying to be your true self and trying to be your truth. This podcast wouldn't be successful, and I wouldn't have been successful in terms of pursuing myself had I not understood the importance of truth across all facets of life and in my relationships, which was a real pivotal thing for me. And that's thanks to
So what's
your work.
changed in your relationships as a consequence of that?
So I believe it's really difficult to truly connect with someone if you're not speaking and being your truth. And I wasn't. I think I was wearing a mask in my relationships in the context of I didn't express how I was thinking and feeling. I was trying to be who I thought my partner wanted me to be. And at the point when I let down the mask and I started speaking my truth, actually as I was departing from the relationship got stronger than ever before. And it was like we were never actually connected until I was being true with her, with my feelings, with what I wanted, with my life. And since then, I would categorize my relationship as being the strongest thing I've ever seen in terms of a romantic connection with someone.
And so when you were starting to talk in your relationship in a more truthful manner, what did that mean that you had to admit? I mean, you just said that part of it was a disconnect between who you were trying to be and who you really were. So that's a persona issue, right? So you think maybe, and everyone has this proclivity to some degree, is they're deeply self-conscious and uncertain. And so instead of allowing the person they're with to connect with that underlying uncertainty and inadequacy, they act out a persona.
Yeah.
And then the problem is that, well, perhaps the person falls in love with that persona, but there's no real connection there. It's an artifice. And, having said that, one of the things that Carl Jung, the great psychotherapist, said about a persona is, don't be thinking that you're better off if you never formed one. So for Jung, it was a voyage from, say, undifferentiated self in infancy and so forth, through persona to authenticity, because you have to act out your ideals to some degree, right? And you also have to formulate a avatar of yourself in some sense that's a mediator between you and other people in casual social encounters. Like, you don't want to walk into the bank and have the teller tell you about his or her day when you say, "How are you doing?" Right? I mean, now and then that can happen, but generally it's too much intimacy too quickly. And so you need this functional shell. But the problem arises when that functional shell is all that there is. And then the real person underneath is just desperate and unhappy because nothing of what's being acted out reflects a true underlying reality.
What is the consequence, the long-term consequence of acting? So many people, especially because of the world I live in Instagram and social media, we kind of build out these personas and then we almost follow the implicit instructions that come with those personas.
Well, that's the problem right there, is that, that I'm trying to get a hold of the Disney people at the moment because I want to do a lecture series on Pinocchio, because I think Pinocchio is a brilliant work of art. And if you're a puppet and an actor, and Pinocchio is both at times in that movie, both a puppet and an actor. So why an actor? Like, why is there something wrong with being an actor? Well, the first question is, who sets your role? And then the second question is, who's pulling your strings? So you've put on this front that is there to make you popular and sexy and desirable and to mask from yourself your own inadequacies. But that's a role. Well, who wrote it? And for what purpose? And so Jung said, for example, that we all acted out a myth, and whether we knew it or not. And maybe you're acting out a tragedy. Maybe you're acting out Narcissus. You don't know, because you've put that on yourself in an attempt, in some ways, to deliver to people what they want, or more accurately, to look as though you're delivering to people what they want. And it's not nothing to do that, right? Because at least you're attempting, in some sense, to adapt to the social world. Someone who's really infantile and dependent, someone who's never left home, part of their problem is that they haven't crafted a persona. So you don't want to denigrate it entirely, but it's no substitute for the real thing. And it turns out that not only is what we want from each other the real thing, but that's also the adventure of your life. And so if you aren't truthful, and that means, unfortunately, especially at the beginning when you start to be truthful, it means deeply coming to terms with your inadequacies in humility. So it's very painful. Without that, you don't have the adventure of your life. You have the role that you've acquiesced to. And that'll take all the meaning out of your life.
Guys, this is another input of myself in the video. First things first, thank you for watching this video. I hope you have a good day and a productive day. I want to tell you something about weakness. So imagine this story. This is a real story, by the way. It happened to one of my old friends a couple of months ago. But imagine this, imagine yourself in that position. You are out with your girl. You go somewhere to eat, somewhere to walk around, I don't know, something like that. So you basically have had a good time with your girl. And you're going home. And you're on your street back home, you get approached by 5 guys who from a distance start to make jokes about your appearance, your girl appearance, stuff like that. And at some point, they come that close to you and they get physical with you. They beat you up, and then they beat your girlfriend up. Imagine this. Imagine getting beat up. Imagine getting a girl beat up, or, I don't know, humiliated. And not being able, not being able to do anything about it. Because you are too skinny, you are too fat, you don't know how to fight, you've never been in a fight in your life, you don't know self-defense, you don't know anything like that. And you end up in that situation. What to do? Now, to be more precise, to make this more powerful than it is, because it's powerful and it's fucked up and it's a bad thing, but to make it on another level, imagine you are not with your girl, imagine that you are with your mother and the same thing happens to you. So, what are you going to do? Are you going to stay weak? Are you going to let that thing happen? Yeah, but maybe it's a low percentage of chance to approach that. It's a low percentage of chance, but it's not impossible. One of my close friends was in that situation, and I believe 1 out of 10 people got in something similar to that. So the advice that I give you guys today is like, don't stay weak. Don't stay weak. Be cautious. Be cautious. Don't stay weak. It's better to be prepared for something like this. Maybe it will never happen to you, but it's better to be prepared than to be caught in that situation and be weak. I hope you have a good day. I hope you stay strong. I hope you hit the gym today. I hope you do some exercise at home. Get bigger, get stronger. Hope you have a good day. Bye.